right, good evening and welcome back to my channel. This evening I am going to go over Carb Manager, how to install it, how to use it, when you might want to track, and why you might want to track. So if you follow me on Instagram or are friends with me on Facebook, then you know that I do sometimes recommend to track if you are just starting out, or if you're hitting my bangs are doing something really funky, sorry. If you're just starting out, or you're hitting a stall, or you're not feeling good, then you might want to track, because that can help you to figure out if you need more protein or more fat, or maybe just more to eat in general. Maybe you're subconsciously portion controlling, or just not realizing, because maybe your metabolism is sluggish, or whatever, that you're not eating enough, and so your body is giving you signals that it needs more food. So there's several different apps on that you can find in your app stores, and the one that I prefer is Carb Manager, because it has a free version. You can do a premium version, but it has a free version, and it's relatively easy to use. And I like that I used to use MyFitnessPal, and I found that a lot of the foods that were in there were actually like member input, and a lot of them were incorrect. Didn't even match up with the labels if it was like a packaged type food. So I find the Carb Manager to be a little more accurate. All of these are really just estimates, because it all depends on if it's cooked, did you weigh, are you eyeballing it, if the package shows that it's less than 1 gram of carbohydrates, like heavy whipping cream, it will say 0 carbohydrates, but that's per serving, and so there is less than 1 gram carbohydrate in the serving, which I want to say is like 2 tablespoons. So then let's say that you use 1/4 of a cup. There is going to be carbohydrates that show up in that, because it's a fraction of a carb in the 2 tablespoons, fraction of the carb, fraction, so it's going to equal up. I always recommend eating whole foods, non-packaged foods. Obviously, anything that you get from the grocery store is going to have a barcode on it, because they have to be able to scan it. But it should be real, whole ingredients, 1 or 2, 3 ingredients, not this long list and things that you can't even pronounce. I stay away from keto products in the store, where it says keto friendly, X amount of net carbs, because often those will trip us up. They're less bad than their high sugar counterparts, but they're still, net carbs can sometimes be tricky, because if it's a soluble fiber, your body's going to break it down just like regular sugar. So I always recommend tracking total carbohydrates and not net carbs, even if that means that I need to have my total carbohydrates a little higher than what I normally would. That's okay, because if I was, say, trying to stay, I stay typically 10 grams of total carbs or less, but let's just say I was doing 10 grams of net carbohydrates. In reality, I could be somewhere around the 50 to 60 total carbs, which would not be good for my personal metabolic system. Now, when we talk about proper human diet, which I love the phrase coined by Dr. Berry, you've heard me say that before, but it's really, where do you fall on the spectrum of carnivore all the way over to low carb, high fat, which could be 100 grams of up to 100 grams of total carbs coming from above ground fruits and vegetables. So everyone falls somewhere in that sphere. my very athletic built son falls where he can tolerate more carbohydrates at this point in his life and be great. Myself and my husband cannot tolerate those amount of carbohydrates. So anyway, Carb Manager. Now we only use Androids, so if you have an iPhone or an iPad, I can't help you. In your Play Store, you are going to look for the Carb Manager. So get that, install that. So while that's installing, I'm going to go through the setting it up. Now I have this already on my phone, so I'm using a spare phone that didn't already have the app on there so that I can walk through those things. I always recommend at least the first 2 weeks, if you're going to work with me, or just take my advice or whatever, to track and see how you're feeling. If you want to know how much protein that you should have, I will link to the Diet Doctor's website, dietdoctor.com. They have a chart to help you figure out height and age and whether you're male or female, where your protein should be. These numbers are the minimum. So you really want to hit that protein because we're made up of protein. So we don't want to skimp or be afraid of the protein, but you also need the fat to go with it. All right. So it's all installed. I'm going to open it. It's an older phone. Okay. So when it opens, it's going to say get started for free or already have an account, sign in. Now, you don't have to like actually make an account. You'll see that in a minute. It's nice though if you do, because that way, let's say that you switch phones or something like that, you can sign in and all your data will transfer over. So we're just going to do get started for free. And it's going to come up and ask you what are your goals, and it gives you choices: lose weight, build muscle, increase energy, improve sleep, manage glucose, or be healthier. You can actually select all of them, but you have to select at least one of them. I'm going to pick be healthier because that's the whole reason that we eat this way, is to be healthy. Weight loss, muscle building, extra energy, all of that is great side effects, especially the weight loss. But it's really a weight optimization way of eating. If you're very slender, you will not lose weight eating this way. You will maintain, you will help build muscle, but you're not going to continue losing weight. So I don't like to click lose weight, even though I do want to lose weight. What I really want to lose is body inches, okay? So you're going to pick your option. I picked be healthier, and then you are going to do continue. Here, it's going to ask you to enter your latest weight. It doesn't really matter what you put in because we are not going to pay attention to the calories. So you can put in a fictional weight, you can put in your real weight, it doesn't really matter. And then it's going to have you put in what your goal weight is, so you're going to do that. Next up, it's going to ask you what's your sex. This is not a yes or no question. This is a gender question. There are two genders, male and female. And then what your height is. Again, these are going to, the reason that they're asking these is because it's going to try and figure out what your total calories are. We are going to completely ignore calories because our bodies don't know what calories are. Our bodies know what macros are, fat, protein, and carbohydrates. And then they know what the micronutrients are, such as vitamin C and all of that stuff. But we're not going to get into the weeds about that. This is just about tracking our macros so that we can make sure that we're eating enough and that we're keeping our carbohydrates low. All right. When is your birthday? I do not care. It doesn't matter what you put in. One of the reasons that might be beneficial is if you were a woman, say in the menopausal age, it will give you tips on things for being in that age. But it doesn't matter. It's also just confirming that you're at least 18 years or older. And then the sixth step of setting up is how active are you? And again, this is just going to help with, it would just not really help. It just tells the app so that it can assign you calories. Okay? So you can put whatever you want for that. Now it's going to be customizing my plan. Oh, it didn't focus before you got the nice avocados. So anyway, first step is my calories goal. It's going to ask you if you want to lose weight, maintain, gain muscle. I just leave it at weight loss because I'm going to completely ignore it. Okay? So you're going to click continue. Wait, let me make sure. Okay, sorry, you're not going to click continue yet. After the I want to lose weight, and it's going to put in the bogus calories, scroll down to step 2, my macronutrient goals. So my macronutrient goals, it comes up already pre-populated for keto, which is 5% of your total calories being carbohydrates, 25% being protein, and 70% being fat. I don't go off of percentages, I actually go off of grams. I just think that's easier for me. So when you go in here, you can either do a preset, or you can go all the way down the bottom and do custom. And I prefer custom. I don't want to copy that, I just want to click on that. Okay, so for the custom, it comes up and it gives you the net carbs, protein, and fat. Right now it's on net carbs. We will be changing that to total carbs, so we will have to come back to this because there's not a way to do this yet until you get into that I found. Maybe someone else knows, but this is where I found it. So anyway, for my net carbs, I'm going to be putting in 10 grams, and now for my height and being a woman, the chart that I'm going to post below says I need a minimum of 90 grams. I've seen other ways that you can calculate this on your own. 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. And so that would be one way. Convert your pounds into kilograms and then multiply that by 1.5. Again, that's going to be a minimum amount. Some people will need more than that, and you want to try and get that at least every day that you're eating. If you do alternate day fasting and whatnot, then don't worry about it. Your body's going to get everything that it needs from your stores. So I like to do for protein and fat, I like to do a 1-to-1 ratio. That works really well for me, and that's what I have people that I'm helping start out with, and then we can tweak depending on their personal needs if they need less fat and more protein, or less protein and more fat, or where their protein is but they need more fat. And so we can really tweak that and get that figured out. And it does change. You know, it changes as we get older. It changes as we continue to lose the weight. Sometimes we may run into where we got sick and now we're trying to rebuild back up over that. So there's different things, and it may change as time goes on. So for my personal self, I use 100 grams of protein and then 100 grams of fat. So that's a 1-to-1 fat to. All right. So I put in 100 grams of fat and 100 grams of protein, and what it did was it came up and it said I had a calories mismatch. So the calories that it initially assigned me in the beginning was 1,443 calories. And then Okay, it didn't take that. Okay. But the calories, again, which does not matter to me, that I put in with my 10 grams of carbohydrates, 100 grams of protein, and 100 grams of carbohydrates was 1,340 calories. So it's fine. I'm just going to click change. Not a big deal. All right. So this is what it looks like. And again, these net carbs will be being changed to total carbs in a minute. So we're going to hit continue. All right. Now you can create an account, which I do recommend doing. I'm not going to do that now because I already have an account. So when you create an account, you don't even have to put your name in. Putting your name in is optional. Just need an email and then to put a password. But we're just going to skip that. All right. And then it is preparing. Okay. So now we have this. Now we're going to change. Okay. This will come up because we're using the free version. You will get the premium pop up every so often, and all you have to do is just X out of it. The reason, so if you wanted the premium, there are things that can, if you wanted to use it as your fasting app as well, you could do that. I use LifeFast because I'm cheap, and I 2 free apps is just as good as 1 paid app. So so I don't worry about that. But there are other benefits, other bells and whistles. So if you want the bells and whistles, by all means, do the premium plan. I'm just going over the free plan today. It is going to pop up with meal reminders. You'll get this. Don't forget to log your breakfast. Whereas if you had the premium, then you would be able to put in that you're fasting and you wouldn't get those. I don't care. I just swipe them away. It doesn't matter. Okay. So to change to total carbs, instead of this little cog here, you're going to click that. Okay, and then you're going to go down into app setting. And I can't do this backwards, I'm sorry. All right, so in app setting, it's going to say carbs to track. You're going to just click that, and then you're going to click total carbs. Now I'm on total carbs. And then I'm going to go back, and I am going to, then you need to go back into your macros calculator, and we're going to be back at that step 1 with the calories. And the reason that we have to do this is because we've switched from net to whole carbs. So it's changed my carbs to 21 grams, and I don't want that. I want it to be 10. Now maybe you want 20 grams or what have you. I am doing 10 grams. So when you go in to change from the net to the total, just remember to go back in and get the change that, and then just make sure. So like when I changed my carb setting, then it made me change, it changed my protein to like almost 300 grams. So now we're going to go through that and then apply macros. Okay, so now it's all been updated. So that is as easy as it gets, okay? I'm actually going to go onto my app that's already done because we'll enter in my dinner. And I enter when I track, and the reason that I track is I like to track about 1 week a month just to make sure that I'm doing, and I'm not changing anything when I'm tracking. So I'm eating just like I normally would eat, but I want to be sure that I'm hitting those protein macros. The fat is just a finish, and the carbohydrates, if I don't have any carbs in a day, I don't care. We don't need carbohydrates. There is no, your body does not have any need. If your blood cells need glucose, you will get that through gluconeogenesis. But my main thing is I want to make sure that I'm not under eating. So that's really the only reason that I track, and to just make sure that I'm getting everything. So, but also, so when I do this, when I do track, I track everything. If I'm having a cup of coffee in the morning, I track that. So I put that in, because coffee does have 1 gram of carbohydrates in it. For the amount, I drink 4 ounces of actual coffee, and then it's diluted because it's a concentrate. So I put butter in my coffee, so I make sure to put the butter in there. Tonight, if I have any tea before I go to bed, I will be sure to put that in my tracker, that tablespoon of butter or half a tablespoon of butter, whatever I put in there. So I do like to track everything on those times when I am tracking. Okay, sorry, I had to update something here. All right, so this is where I'm at right now. So I've had 3 grams of carbohydrates today, but really 2 of the grams of the carbohydrates came from eggs. This is where I was talking. Eggs do have a little bit of carbs in the form of glycogen, so I really don't care. Those are one of the carbohydrates where I would just totally ignore it. So if I ended up, say, at 13 grams, but 3 of those grams of carbohydrates were from eggs, I was really at 10 grams, because the glycogen carbohydrates work differently. It's the same thing as, some meat actually has glycogen in it, and it will read as a carbohydrate. So we don't really worry about those. So really the only carbohydrates that I've had today was from my coffee. All right, so we're going to put in my dinner. So to add to a meal, get this so we can see this. You scroll to where you are. So there was my breakfast. My breakfast was just, I know it's a little bit blurry and I apologize. My breakfast was just the coffee and the butter. For lunch, I had, if you follow me on Instagram, you'll see I had shaved steak, and then I had some eggs. I had a couple whole eggs and 2 egg yolks. This is actually, I need to go in and put in the numbers myself, because what I found on Carb Manager, it really wasn't correct, because you see it's showing 2 full eggs have nothing, no carbs, but yet it's saying that the egg yolks have 1 carb. So I have to fix that. It's not a big deal. So that's my lunch. So for dinner, you just hit add dinner. Where am I? There we go. So you're going to hit add dinner, and then you're going to go through, and now I had shaved steak and bacon. So those are already in here because I had them. So there's the shaved steak that I had. So I'm going to click that, and it's going to bring it up, and I'm going to put how much I had. I did not have a full 10 ounces today. I split it with my husband, so I had 6 ounces. I should say a full 12 ounces. So I'm going to click that, and then I'm just going to put add. All right. And then I had 6 slices of bacon. Now my bacon is already in here, but let's say I didn't want to scroll back and get it. Hang on 1 second. Okay, so let's say that I hadn't had this food before, or I just didn't feel like scrolling back through. If it is something you bought from the store, you can hit the scan, and it's going to bring up basically a camera. And what it's going to do is I just took a picture of the barcode on the bacon. And so it brings up the brand and then the nutrients. So I had 6 slices, so I will change that from the 2 to the 6, and that will adjust the macros. Now, not every food is going to be in there, but the majority of them are in there. So I had 6 slices, and then that adjusted everything here. And I'm just going to click add. You can do favorite. You can favorite the foods. So if you wanted to, well, here, let's just go ahead and put that bacon there. Well, we'll just do the eggs. So if you wanted to favorite, oops, I don't want to, okay. So, well, here's the beef. If you wanted to favorite that, you would just hit this heart right here. And then that just keeps it close to the top of your list. And it also shows it in the list that it's a favorited food. So if you have a recipe or something that you use often, maybe you make a protein bread. I like to use Maria Emmerich's one of her protein bread recipes. That's not in here, but I could input it in here, and it would be then I could mark it as a favorite. Very often you can look up recipes, so if it's a popular recipe, like I was able to find Maria Emmerich's protein lasagna and put that in there. And yes, the macros are going to vary slightly depending on the amount of fattiness of the ground beef and stuff, but you can do quick foods. I suggest kind of just playing around with this. So you can't put in recipes unless you, you can find recipes if you are a premium subscriber. Then you can look up recipes and get them right in here, and everything's already populated. So, but you could also put in, you can do like my foods, recipes, and meals. And so if you click that and you have a meal that a recipe that you want to put in, you can either do my custom foods or my recipes. So like a my recipe, you would do a create. So you would do the create recipe. You'd put all the ingredients and the amounts in, and then how much a serving size is, and it will calculate that out, and then you have that in there. If you wanted to do like a my custom foods, if there's a food that's in here, or a food that you use that's not like in the scan and it's not in a search, then you could just you could just mark right off of the label the nutrients, and you can actually put like from iron, you can put all of that in there if you wanted to. So this is a pretty handy app. I do suggest getting it and familiarizing yourself with it. So off of what I've eaten today, now that we entered my dinner, you can see, okay, I hit my protein and went and actually am over, so that's wonderful. Fat is fine. Calories, I don't give two hoots in the wind about it. I am 112 calories over what they say, whatever. And then my total carbs for the day are 3 grams. So I am pretty much done eating. I will likely have a cup of salted caramel tea tonight because that's just been really yummy. And I may or may not put some butter in. If I do, I will log that in. This does give you the option to do snacks. However, if you're a follower of mine, you know that we don't snack. You can also put in supplements as well as logging daily workouts if you wanted to do that. And there is a water tracker if you want to do that. If I was done for the day, I could do I'm done logging today, and then it will completely close it out. I never do that. So let's say that you messed something up and you're like, oh, like I need to fix my eggs. If I want to take something off, there's the eggs. You're going to click. Hang on. Can't do this backwards. Okay. Those two little lines right there, when you click them, this opens up. So I could either edit it, copy it, so if I was like, oh wait, I did 4 eggs instead of, or whatever. Well, I'm on my coffee anyway, so it doesn't matter. But then, or I can remove it. So it's actually the egg yolks, and I'm going to remove that and then replace it with a custom because I wasn't able to find any just egg yolks. And so I'll look up online. It really should be the same as a regular whole egg. So, but that is how you do that. There is a way that you can connect if you wanted to have friends or create groups or share. So I have not ever done that, but if anyone would like to do that, I am Mommy Reef, if you're interested in that. So that is pretty much the ins and outs of this. I hope that you found it helpful and maybe helped demystify some of why we track and how to use that app. If you found this video helpful, please be sure to share it. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that thumbs up button. And I will see you in the next video. Have a good night.